Hello Pokemon trainers, welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet rival battle video. This is a video series where my co-host Deiter and I battle against each other using our in-game teams in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So let's just get right into it here. So we have the team preview coming up right here. And if you look, my team is pretty much exactly the same as it was last time around, except I have Annihilate now, as well as Farigiraf. So I have a couple of fully evolved Pokemon. Actually, my team is completely evolved at this point. Deiter's team is actually a little bit different. He has a Gholdengo, or Gholdengo, as well as Kilowattrel, and of course the final stage of his starter, Fuecoco. So I decided to lead with Annihilate here. Usually my thought process is leading with a Pokemon that's either well-rounded or kind of my weakest one, but I decided to lead with Annihilate. I do have U-turn on it, and I figured Annihilate's just such a strong Pokemon that it could kind of either threaten out anything he starts with, or if I don't like the matchup, I can U-turn, or I can always, of course, just pull a hard switch. So that was kind of my thought process with leading with Annihilate. And he has the cute little Fuecoco hat. I actually haven't found where you get that. So for me, it's actually a worst case scenario here, and he actually leads with his Kilowattrel. And of course, that's a fast, pretty powerful flying type. At least from the special side, it has a pretty solid special attack stat. I don't know what exactly I was thinking here. I just decided to pull the U-turn. Obviously, I should have pulled a hard switch there, so that was a big mistake on my part. To be quite honest, I don't remember exactly why I U-turned there instead of just switching. So yeah, that was not great for me, but I do get some decent momentum here, and I'm going to go into Farigiraf because mainly Farigiraf's pretty bulky, and he doesn't have any super effective moves for me, so I figured either I could do a lot of damage here, or he would switch out, fearing the fact that he can't really do too much damage to me, and also the fact that I could probably do decent damage to him. So I just go for the Twin Beam just to pull the safe play. The way that Deiter and I tend to play, as I mentioned in the last video, is we don't look at team preview just kind of for fun, but also kind of, to keep things interesting. So when the battle starts, we actually try to cover the other person's team or just not look at it at the team preview, just so we're kind of surprised here. So I didn't know he had a Kilowattrel actually, but he does make a great play and go into his Mabosstiff, and to be quite honest, I forgot about this thing. And here what I decided to do is I just decided to pull the trigger on the Hyper Beam right here, and that ends up paying off for me. I got really, really lucky, and I survived the crunch with 1 HP. Honestly, I'm going to be honest. I mean, I knew obviously he has super effective moves for me, but I didn't really think too much about the crunch, and I should have really thought more about it, the fact that Mabosstiff's decently powerful and has some strong Dark-type moves, but as I showed, it ends up working out really, really well for me because I actually destroy his Mabosstiff, who's actually one of the more threatening Pokemon on his team. So I actually start the battle very, very shortly with briefly, I mean, with a 1-0 lead, but then of course he ends up knocking me out, so we're kind of 1-1 there. We've each lost one Pokemon. Here I decide to go into Sashimi, one of my favorite Pokemon from this generation. This is Tatsugiri. Honestly, my team is pretty weak to this Kilowattrel, and now that my Farigiraf is dead, I don't really have anything that can kind of easily switch into it, so I just switched into the thing that would take neutral damage from all his hits, and I do take the Volt Switch decently well. I mean, I take a good chunk of damage there, but at least it does less than half, so I kind of like, I like Tatsugiri because it's a Dragon type as well, and Dragon is just one of the best defensive types often, and it pairs really nicely with Water, so obviously I'm not weak to Electric as I normally would be, being a Water type. Anyway, he goes into his Gholdengo here, predicting, I guess, the Dragon move, but I actually just go for Icy Wind, which is a decent catch-all move here. I figured it would lower the speed of his Kilowattrel if he stayed in. And of course, lowering the speed of Gholdengo is decent here because I think it actually has naturally higher speed than Tatsugiri. Here I stay in and go for the Surf just to get some damage on his Gholdengo. I know Gholdengo is pretty powerful, and taking a Shadow Ball is not something I really want to do, but I also don't really have anything on my team that can switch into Gholdengo, especially since, once again, my Farigiraf is dead. So my Farigiraf play, losing my Farigiraf early, ended up being a good play. Well, it was a bad play, frankly, but it worked out for me because I knocked out Mabosstiff. But I think ultimately it was a big trade-off there, because losing Ferograph is really bad, but killing Mabosstiff is great. Here I get off the Surf on the switch here. He didn't want to stay in with his Gholdengo because he would lose it. And I get off a lot of damage on Kilowattrel, which is also great for me because, again, this thing is also a big threat to my team. And here I just kind of make the decision, like, unfortunately, I know he's going to kill me. There is nothing I can do. And as I said, I do not have a good switch into this thing. My what's it called? Armarouge is a big threat to it, but I didn't want Armarouge to take any unnecessary damage. So here I send in Armarouge the Nightmare. So if Deiter's Flamigo has been the biggest threat in the previous 2 battles to my teams, my Armarouge has been the biggest threat to Deiter's team. He's terrified of it in the same way that I'm terrified of his Flamigo. So here I stay in, he goes for the Air Slash, and luckily for me, he does not flinch me. Had he flinched me there, this battle would have really turned around, I think, in a big way, because he might have been able to go for the Volt Switch as a follow-up and actually knock me out. So that was a huge moment for me, and I get the kill on Kilowattrel, and I get the speed boost with Flame Charge, and now my Armarouge is ready to go ham. He's ready to go sicko mode, or god mode, I don't know. Either way, Deiter goes into his Cyclizar, which was actually on his second team last time. If you know how our battles work, we basically have our in-game teams, our main team, and then we usually do like 2 or 3 other teams, or sorry, 1 or 2 other teams. So this time around, we actually have 3 different teams. And in the last battle, Deiter's Cyclizar was on his second team, which is kind of like his B squad. And it looks like he got promoted. So now his Cyclizar is on his A team, on his main team. So here anyway, I'm just deciding what to do with my Armarouge, because again, my Armarouge is probably the single biggest threat on my team. So it's probably the most important Pokemon on my team. And, you know, as I've been mentioning throughout this battle, I don't really have too many Pokemon. I don't have really any bulky Pokemon on this team. And so I don't switch really well. I don't switch into Deiter's moves really well. So here what I decide to do, this might be a weird play. I decide to actually Terrastalize. I actually have normal Terra type. I think I got this one in a raid. I guess that's the only thing that would explain why it's a normal Terra type, right? But either way, I Terrastalized, and my thought process here was that he might actually go for the Bite, because I know Cyclizar gets Bite, and I figured I could take a Dragon type move, even though Cyclizar is pretty strong. I think Armarouge actually has pretty solid defense. So I kind of thought that I could do that, and then I actually do take the Dragon Claw, and I'm able to knock him out with a Psyshock. I just went for double Psyshock there because obviously that's going to do the most damage to his Cyclizar, and now I'm rolling here. Of course, my Armarouge does have really low HP, so I don't think I can survive any more hits. But here he goes into his Skeledirge, and this was scary for me. But as you're about to see, this battle ends up... It's going to be really interesting how this battle turns out, I will say, without really spoiling it. I know that Skeledirge is actually pretty bulky, so my thought process here was I'll do some good damage with Psyshock, I'll probably die, and then I'll send in something to finish this off. Deiter, I guess, either forgets or doesn't realize that I have Flash Fire, and he goes for Flash Fire there. And that is awful for him because I have Flash Fire, as I said, which means I'm immune to fire, even though I'm currently a normal type. So I guess that was his thought process. And then he goes for Hex, forgetting that I'm a normal type. And at this point, we were on our group chat together, and he was just like cussing up a storm, or he was using the cursing emoji, the one with that looks mad and it has like symbols covering its mouth like it's cursing. But either way, yeah, that was really bad for Deiter. That was awful. So that just shows that Terrastalizing kind of throws people off sometimes, right? Because at first he thought I was a normal type and used a fire move, figuring it would be neutral, and then he forgot that I am a normal type and used a ghost type move on me. So I was able to knock out the Skeledirge in 3 hits, which I feel is pretty lucky on my part, because Skeledirge is a really threatening Pokemon. Then he goes into Gholdengo. I'm at +1 speed, so I'm basically faster than everything on his team, and I easily knock out Gholdengo there as well. And at this point, I'm just sweeping through Deiter, and he was terrified. He was like crying. I have 4 Pokemon left. I'm sweeping through him. And then he goes into this monster. And from previous battles, this is always the Pokemon that Deiter Terrastalizes. Deiter's strategy seems to just be rely on Teeter, rely on Flamigo, and just sweep with it. And the previous 2 battles have proven for that to be a good strategy for him, because he's won with his Flamigo both times. I should have expected that and just gone for the Lava Plume. I honestly don't think it was in my mind that he would Terrastalize into the flying type, and if it was, then I definitely should have just gone for the Lava Plume, because that would give me a chance to burn his Flamigo, and that would basically guarantee the win. At this point, though, my Armarouge dealt a ton of damage to his Flamigo and basically destroyed the rest of his team. But if you look at my team, I don't have too many things that are going to take on his Flamigo really well. And so it's a pretty terrifying prospect here. Terrastalizing my Armarouge was pretty critical because it meant that with the mistakes he made, his Skeledirge did nothing to me. So it gave me basically a free kill on Skeledirge, who would have otherwise been a great Pokemon for him. But what this means is I don't have the ability to Terrastalize my Flamigo. And so it came down to whoever's faster, or if I could live a hit. Of course, I cannot live a hit. And I saw that go from 100 to 0, and I was like, was that a crit? It was not a crit. That's a 110 base power move, boosted by Stab and boosted by Terrastal, and it's super effective. The reason I went into Flamigo there was because I figured to myself, like, obviously my Reaper, my Scovillain, and my Annihilate are not going to be able to take hits from Flamigo, so they're basically, in a lot of ways, as good as dead. So I kind of felt to myself, okay, if I go into my Flamigo, if I live a hit, I kill his Flamigo and I win the game. If I don't live a hit, it kind of doesn't matter who I go into first because all my Pokemon are going to fall. So I think this shows, because obviously my Annihilate is going to go down. I mean, again, so we also don't run items in these battles just to make it kind of an even playing field for the most part. And Annihilate's really bulky. My thing I'm thinking about right now, and as you could guess, I'm just going to spoil it right here. Scovillain does not take a supercharged acrobatics from Flamigo, so this game is over. Deiter turns it around, even though I was sweeping him with my Armarouge, and Deiter does win this battle pretty awesomely for him. But the point I was going to make here is, and that's the end of the battle, and I'm just going to kind of keep talking from here. So, and I might put some footage just like slowed down or something like that, just to kind of hold you over while I'm talking, but. I want to say that me staying in with Annihilate turn 1 against his Kilowattrel might have cost me that battle, because if I had Annihilate later on at full health, maybe there was a chance I could have lived a hit from Flamigo. But like I said, with all those boosts, Stab, super effective, 110 base power acrobatics, Terrastalized, I'm not sure that even for as bulky as Annihilate is, I'm not sure it would have lived an acrobatics from Flamigo. So basically at that point, despite the fact that Armarouge was amazing and did amazing work for me, I'm trying to see where I could have played things differently in that battle. I'm sure there are absolutely ways that I could have played that battle differently, but Deiter's team was really solid. My team was also really solid as well. I really like how my team is coming along. I guess one thing that I noticed about my team that I did mention in this video is I really don't have that much bulk. All of my Pokemon, or most of my Pokemon, are kind of just like offensive Pokemon, which is, like I said in the beginning of this series, like I just choose Pokemon that I like, and I don't give too much thought as to like their type matchups and their combinations and stuff, which is why there's kind of a lot of type overlap on my team. I'm not sure about Deiter's. He might be. I asked him if this was his final like roster for his in-game team, and he said he's not sure yet. So for the next time we battle with these teams, they might be very different. For me, it won't be different though, and I guess I gotta try different moves or something to change things up, to plan around all of his Pokemon and try not to get swept too early. But yeah, his biggest threat is absolutely Flamigo. Now I know about his Kilowattrel, which is also a threat. Cyclizar is scary, and Mabosstiff is very annoying because it has Intimidate and it's a dark type. So Deiter seems very good. This team is very good. And once again, I had a really close chance of winning this game, and I turned things around. I had like a mini sweep in the middle there, but unfortunately, just did not work out the way I wanted it to. So that is battle number 3 for us with these teams. But what I've actually done is, because like I said, for this series, or for this particular battle, we had 3 teams, and all of them were at level 36, just to kind of, again, balance things out and give ourselves different teams to battle against one another. So we actually did 3 battles in a row here, but what I wanted to do is I think I'll just split the videos into 3 shorter videos, with each of which has a different battle. So this was the first battle, obviously, with our main teams, our in-game teams, and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching if you did. I had a lot of fun with this battle. even though I lost again, once again I lost, it was really fun, and I really like my team. They're pretty strong. My team is very strong, but also, most importantly, these are probably among my favorite Pokemon from Gen 9 so far. So, and once again, I kind of questioned to myself about my Flamigo, because I really like Flamigo a lot, but I wasn't sure it would be the 6th member of my team, and it just kind of fell in that way. Like when we had our first battle, both of our Flamigos were like super strong, and I just kind of fell in love with it that way, and now I just want to keep using it on this team. I don't know if I'll continue to use it on this team, but you know, maybe. I don't know. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more Pokemon Scarlet and Violet content. I'm going to be posting the next battle with our second teams at level 36 pretty soon. Maybe the next day, or maybe in a few hours. So if you're interested in the series, check it out, and I'll post a link to the playlist and the previous video in the end screen, and maybe in the description as well. So comment below as well what you think of this series so far. Also, what is your main team looking like, and did it change a lot throughout your playthrough? Sorry, my squawkabillies are flying about. Anyways, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.